Very happy to be here. I want to thank Roger and William Jessup for having me. Real simple, I'm going to give you guys my journey and some of the key lessons I've learned along the way. And I want to leave opportunities for questions. You guys might have some behind-the-scenes questions as far as behind the scenes with Shark Tank, entrepreneurship, and the whole nine. So my goal here today is just kind of to be able to give you guys some amazing lessons I've learned of building this incredible business. But before I start, I want to, by a show of hands, how many ever had an idea for a product or an invention or a business? By a show of hands. Don't be bashful. Lock your elbow out. Okay? And I want you to look around the room. Okay? All right, now let me ask you this. How many have ever had an idea and maybe a year later, a couple years later, you see that same idea on TV or in the stores? By a show of hands. Okay, look at that. It's always about 95% of the room. And I got to meet with some of the other students earlier today. One of the things that my grandfather told me, I've always had ideas for products, but I never took action. I never did anything with it. And one of the things that really impacted me, he asked me, he said, "Hey, Chris, what's the richest land in the world?" And I said, "United States." He said, "No." I said, "China." He said, "No." I said, "Grandpa, I give up. What's the richest land in the world?" And he said, "The graveyard," because that's where so many people died with great ideas in them that they never got out. And I said, you know what? No matter how small the idea, I'm going to make sure I get it out. And the idea I had was with ramen noodles. How many are familiar with these? Y'all know college too, right? So I went to UC Davis, and I lived on these things. I lived on them when I was growing up. But surprisingly, with these packs, there's 95 billion packs sold per year. 95 billion. But surprisingly, they don't have microwaving instructions on the back of the packs. And so I always made it in the microwave, but you never really get that stovetop taste. And I said, you know what? So one day it actually turned out pretty good. And I said, okay, what did I do different? Was it the bowl? Was it the water line? What was it? So I went and I did research. I bought packs and packs of ramen. You know, it was about a couple hundred packs, you know, so the R&D was expensive, right? Okay? And I said, I'm going to figure this thing out. And I figured it out. And so I'll save the questions as far as the development process, but here's what happened. What I did is I was able to create the rapid ramen cooker. And let me show you how this works. This is pretty cool. So the students at Chico State actually created my first prototype. And then I hired the professor at Chico State to actually help me go to mass production. But here's how it works. All you do, you put the block of ramen noodles inside the cooker, add water to the water line, pop it in the microwave for 3 minutes, take it out with the 2 heat-resistant handles, and it makes perfect stovetop ramen every time. Let's clap it up for that. Hey! Right? So I had this idea, and so so I did it much later after college, and so I already have I own a professional staffing company for architecture and engineering, and I really hadn't told anybody about the ramen cooker. I was kind of like just doing it on the side. And we won Small Business of the Year with the Johnson Group, and by Senator Pro Tem Darrell Steinberg. His aide, Russell Steiger, wanted to get other business owners together. And so it was a little luncheon. It was only 4 of us. And something said, you know what? Bring the ramen cooker. Now, at this time, I was like going from professional staffing to noodles, right? And so I was like kind of like, I'm not really all in yet. But some said, bring it, so I brought it. And so I bring it out, and I tell them about it, and they're like, man, that's cool. I know the store manager at the Walmart on Truxell. And I was like, he's like, would you like an introduction? I said, absolutely. So he makes the introduction. I set a meeting, and so I go to the Walmart over there in the Thomas. And I'm standing by the registers. The guy forgets about the meeting. So I'm standing there for about 20 minutes. He comes out, and he says, come on back. And he's big, giant, 6'4" guy, and he sits down, and I'm pitching my heart out, telling him about the ramen cooker, right? This is Walmart. And he's just poker face. And I'm like, man, I'm a pretty likable guy. This guy is not engaged, right? He stands up and says, follow me. So I walk and I follow him. And we go into the ramen aisle. And he picks out a pack of ramen. And he said, follow me. I follow him. We go into the break room. And he hands me the ramen and says, show me. So this is the moment of truth. Now, I've already done this a couple of hundred times at home, pass them out to family and friends. It works. So I put in the ramen noodles. I add water to the water line. I open the microwave, and I pop it in there. And they're cooking. Put it in there for 3 minutes. And I'm trying to engage in some small talk. He's not engaged. Ding. They're done. I open it up. I pull them out. And they're not done. Here's Walmart, the biggest, not just the biggest store, and the biggest company in the world. And here's my chance. And I'm like, oh, my God. So I said, you know what? I said, let me go ahead and give it just one more minute, And I put it in there for another minute. Ding. I take it out, and they're still not done. But I could see that they were kind of done at the bottom, so I start stirring them up, and they're starting to cook, and he's like, and then they're starting to look okay, and he's like, no, I get the idea. I put the seasoning in, and he takes the bite. While he's about to take a bite, I'm looking at the wattage of the microwave. It's only like 300 watts, right? So that's the reason why it didn't work. But he takes a bite, and he's silent, and he goes, this thing's a winner. He said, we sell pallets and pallets of ramen noodles. I'm going to be your first customer. And I was like, great, thank you so much. And he says, so we're walking out, and he says, make sure you pay for these on your way out. I said, no problem. So I'm walking, I'm just cool and collected, right? I'm just cool and collected. I go to my car, I look, I close, and oh my gosh, I went crazy. Called my wife, I'm going crazy. And here I got Walmart, and I don't even have a bank account set up yet. So I go to Chase Bank, I set up my bank account, and the guy's like, what is Rapid Ramen? And I tell him about it. He's like, you know what? Leticia Ardaz at KCRA loves covering stories like success stories in Sacramento. Would you like, I was like, absolutely. So Leticia Ardaz sets up a news footage. You can find it on YouTube. Is filming us in the store, and is talking about, wow, this college kid. They call me a college kid, even though I had already been out of college. And that, this successful ramen cooker. And so we had our website set up online. And so from the news footage, we started getting a lot of activity on the website. And they're doing the contact us, and they're putting all these messages. And so I'm just reading all the messages to my wife. Stand up, babe. This is my wife, Sean. She said, oh, my gosh, stand up. Everybody say hi to my God. So I'm reading the messages to her. We've been together since I was 14 years old. Oh. She has 4 kids. She don't look like it, does she? She has a kid in college. No, we have a kid in college. But so check this out. I'm reading all the messages, and it's like, wow, this is amazing. Why didn't I think of that? Oh, my college son needs this. Oh, I hate making noodles on the stovetop. It's a hassle. Wow, you're going to be a millionaire. And I'm just reading them to her. I'm just grinning, and I'm just reading them to her. And it's amazing how one negative thing can silence everything else that's going on in your life. This one email said, and of course it was anonymous, it said, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard in my life. This is not an invention. Walmart's stupid for putting it in their store. KCRA is stupid for covering it. And you're stupid for even thinking of it. And then it left, you will never make a dime on this. And I mean, I'm a pretty confident guy, but it rocked me. It's early. I just started this thing. And my wife is like, hey, Chris, because I didn't read that one out loud. What's wrong with your face? And so what I realized, that was one of the first lessons I've learned on this journey. And that's the difference between faith and fear. See, faith and fear, they're total opposites. They couldn't be more opposite. but they share one same characteristic that both brings them together. They're totally opposites, but there's one thing that makes them very similar. Faith and fear, they both want you to believe something that hasn't happened yet. So it hasn't happened yet. The faith of, man, this is going to be successful. I'm going to be able to put my kids through college. I'm going to be able to buy my dream car. I'm going to be able to support my church. I'm going to be able to do all this thing. That's the faith. And then the fear is like, man, noodles? I'm going to be the laughing stock of Sacramento. Man, what if this thing doesn't work? What if people just want to make it on the stovetop? What if I don't succeed? So every purpose-driven journey, you're going to be faced with faith or fear. The key is you can't have them both at the same time. You got to pick. And your emotions show you what you're picking. So what I said, you know what? I said, I'm having faith. I said, you know what? I believe. I prayed myself up, and I said, you know what? I'm going after this thing. I'm going for it. The very next day, the Walmart store manager calls me, and he's like, man, dude, I'm sorry that these things are not selling. I thought with the KCRA footage that we would be blowing these things off the shelf, and we've sold only 3. I'm sorry, dude, this is not going to work. And I'm like, I just prayed myself up from last night, right? And I remember saying, like, listen, man, you got to believe. Come on, man, you got to believe. He's like, yeah, all right. Here's what happened. 3 days later, with no help of my own, my phone, I had set my phone to send me notifications every time we got a sale online. And so my phone started to ding, ding, like it was just dinging like crazy. And I'm like, man, that's odd. Like, it was like 10 orders a minute. And I'm like, and it didn't stop. It was going throughout the day, and it was draining my battery on my phone. I was like, what is going on? It's got to be a mistake. So I Googled myself. Lo and behold, that same KCRA footage got put on the front page of AOL.com. It was the #1 story, 386,000 views in 12 hours. And so we sold more than 3,000 units in 2 days. Now, here's the crazy part. My wife, Shauna, she was fulfillment. So her job was put them in the sleeves. So fulfillment was at home. And so my job was credit card processing. So I didn't have the website to automatically charge the credit cards. How many are familiar with Square? I manually inputted 3,000 credit cards by hand. So when I tell you I didn't sleep, no joke, that night I did not sleep. I would manually put every single credit card. Come to find out, that was illegal at the time. You're supposed to have it automatic, but it was crazy. And so my wife, she would bring the packs. This was November, so it was Christmas time. She would bring these big, giant bags of product to the post office. And so she would be holding up the line because she's like shipping hundreds and hundreds of orders. And so I said, make sure every time you're in line, give every person in line. So she's like, God bless you. Here's your ramen cooker. God bless you, right? And it actually exploded. So here's what happened. After having the success with Walmart, so a lot of people don't realize what Walmart, with the whole farm to fresh, what the corporate office did is they gave individual stores the ability to make purchases up to a certain amount. So I only had one Walmart store, right? And by the way, after that, he sold out all the units that I gave to him. And so I said, man, you know what? I'm going to drive down to Pleasanton, and I went and talked to Safeway. And I'm sitting in front of Safeway, and I'm telling them about the ramen cooker, and I go, and yes, we're in Walmart. And I didn't say one Walmart, I just said we're in Walmart. Okay, we'll put you in all 1,600 Safeways. And I'm like, thank you, right? Then I got Winco. So I had some success. I was starting to roll. And then I had the opportunity to go on Shark Tank. I had 3 rejection notices before getting on Shark Tank, but I was persistent, and I had the opportunity to go on Shark Tank. So Shark Tank, it was one of the scariest days of my life, but it was one of the most rewarding. So I pitched my heart out on that show. So for those, how many of you saw that episode? Okay, quite a few of you. So I'll show you this. When you walk out, they do this thing where you have to walk and stand on this X. And so I walk out, and you stand on this X, and you have to stand there for a minute and like 45 seconds. And then I just remember, and so you don't say a word. And they say it's for lighting and all that stuff. It's just pure intimidation, okay? And so I'm standing there, and I can't believe they're as close as this front row is to me. And so I just stood there, and that was the only face I knew how to make. So, be friendly. And so I pitched my heart out. So you only see 13 minutes of it. I actually was in there for an hour and a half. Yeah, so it's grueling. And they're just jumping all over each other, asking questions. And I remember after I got out, my wife wanted an update. She was pregnant at the time. She wanted an update. But I mean, literally, when they drove me to my hotel, they drive you to a whole nother hotel so you don't talk to the other Shark Tank contestants. And I remember, like, my head was spinning. I just had to lay down. And I just took a nap. I didn't give anybody any updates on what happened. I just crashed. It was grueling. So 3 out of the 5 sharks made offers. Mr. Wonderful, Robert, and Mark Cuban. And then I went with Mark Cuban. So, and a couple behind the scenes on that. So after I said yes to Mark Cuban, after you say yes on the show, you're able to do due diligence after. So both the sharks and you can, as the entrepreneur, to make sure that the deal is what you want. So during the due diligence process, we actually aired. So, while we're going through due diligence, they aired our show nationally, and we made more the night of the show than what I was asking for when I was on Shark Tank. So I didn't need the money anymore, but I still wanted to do the deal. And so, but I saw that with Mark Cuban, he had about 82 companies at that time, and it was more of his management company. So instead of doing the deal with the management company, I saw I wasn't going to get the mentorship, and that's really key, the mentorship. I decided not to do the deal, and it turns out that was a great decision because it would have been a lot. So I'm going to give you 9 lessons. It's 10, the faith and fear is 1, but I'm going to give you 9 additional lessons on this journey. The first one is ignore the crowd. Okay, ignore the crowd. Anybody ever have haters? Okay, or naysayers? All right, and sometimes what their job is to do is to get you to stop. And when you're filled with faith, you have to ignore the crowd. And with doing that, here's what happened. The Rapid Ramen Cooker became the #1 bestseller on Amazon.com. Okay, 4.6 out of 5 stars. We're in now over 50,000 retail doors nationwide. Okay, so Walmart, Target, Wegmans, you name it, the 7-Eleven. Been on Good Morning America, CNN. We signed a license deal with Disney. Okay, Marvel. So, Captain America, the big new Spider-Man movie coming out next year. We have a big major program with, kids want to eat out of their Spider-Man cooker, right? And so that's been amazing. Collegiate. So, we have the top 35 colleges as far as in branding, as far as their license sales with Collegiate. And then now we have over 15 products that are on the market, 25 patents total. And what we realized is that after the ramen cooker, we said that what else can you make in a microwave? Most people have microwaves just to reheat. They use them just to reheat leftovers. But we found with the proper heat distribution and the BPA-free microwave-safe products that you can actually cook food in the microwave. So we have a cooker for mac and cheese, oatmeal, rice, eggs, brownies. And we're going to show you the video on brownies. That's new. And veggies, a pizza reheater, popcorn, rice, pasta. And these are in stores everywhere. Started from one little small idea to that. 4 levels of faith. So there's 4 levels of faith, right? So the first one is I think. Okay? So I think is here. Some of those ideas that you might have, I think. Or if I think I can succeed. I think I can get, this type of degree. I think that we're going to have this type of success. I think. Okay? That's the lowest level of faith. A lot of people, they start there, but they don't get to the next thing. The next one is, I believe. A lot of people stop at that level of faith. It's right here from I think to I believe. I believe is like, man, I believe we're going to succeed. I believe I'm going to be a millionaire. I believe we're going to have a ton of success. I believe. Now, I want to tell you something, that in these levels of faith, the difference with them are the levels of doubt that's in these different levels of faith, right? So I believe, if I were to say to my wife in front of her mother, I believe I'm in love with you. Can you hear that doubt in that? When you put in that perspective, you hear that doubt? I'm trying to convince myself that I believe. And that's what we do on some of our goals. That's what we do with some of our ambitions. We try to reach them with that level of type of faith, I believe. The third level is I know. I know we're going to make it. I know I'm going to succeed. I know I'm going to reach these goals. I know. But there's still that remnants of doubt, and I know. I know I'm in love with you. You see that doubt in that? Now, here's the thing, is that the biggest stiller of dreams, most people think, is fear. It's not fear. See, what fear does, fear comes in and it kicks open your front door and it says, you're not going to make it, you're not going to succeed, and then you stop. That's what fear does. But doubt is sneaky. Doubt comes through the side door. He comes through this, and the reason why doubt is so successful in killing people's dreams is because doubt's reasonable. Doubt's reasonable enough to where you adopted the idea of doubt as if it's your own. So doubt comes in as like, man, you really want to start this business? You're not going to be able to spend time with your kids. Man, what a risk this is of really going out and doing this entrepreneurial thing. Wow, you really want to spend this money? Noodles, man, that's really not. And then you start to like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I probably shouldn't do this. It's reasonable. So you have to build your faith on any journey that you're going on to the highest level of faith. And the highest level of faith is I am. It's I am. We already know who's the great I am. Okay? We already know who's the great I am. I am is already done. You believe that you received it. It's done. It's already done. I'm just waiting for you guys to see it, but it's already done. So if I do that same thing, I am in love with you, girl. Did you believe that? You believe that? Did you believe that? Absolute. I am. I am. You have to walk in it. You walk in it before it happens. You walk in it. You walk in that I am. I am a millionaire. I am successful. I am blessing people. I am going to be, I am. It's I am. And so that's the top level of faith. And when you get your I am level of faith, doubt can't touch it. Doubt can't touch it. You're unmovable. You're unmovable. What I realize with a lot of people, if you don't have that doubt, that I am faith, what I realize is everybody counts. And what I mean by that, everybody counts. You can tell by your emotions, and you got to check your emotions on what you're counting. Some people count their problems. Some people count their blessings. And so when you're counting and you're feeling down, you're feeling stressed out, while you're counting those problems, the blessings are still there. But you're deciding to count on the actual problems. And so like even today, I was telling the guys before, like this day was a war day. I mean, there's people that jump out the window with this type of day I had. Okay? I'm building this whole business. I just got these major brand license deals. Oh, I didn't show you with this one. We also did a deal with Minute Rice. But I'm going to give you one that I haven't did to the public. With the brownie baker, you're going to see the video. We signed a deal with Betty Crocker. Okay, let's clap it up for that. Hey. So, but anyways, even with the success, there's problems, but you still have to focus on the blessings. Have a conquest. So whatever goal that you're going after, make it big. Sometimes we put a limit on what God could do in our life. Okay? We put our own limits on ourselves. And so on my Rapid Brands team, and what I tell even my kids, is have a conquest. Not a goal, a conquest. And so our conquest, this was our conquest. Can we hit this light? Can you guys see okay? You guys good? Or in the back you guys can see okay? So this is my conquest. This is a panorama in Target. In here I have 2 products, the Rapid Ramen and our Rapid Mac. And the rest of those products are our competitor, okay? They've been around for 80 years, and they own the shelf. This was our let me show you this. So what happened, they knocked us off. They created their own rapid ramen cooker and called it the Minute Ramen Cooker. So why did I have to get knocked off by the biggest $100 million company, 70-year company in this space? I'm not the first one in microwave cookware. So to take away my space, they created the Minute Ramen Cooker. Now, I didn't have enough cash to battle these guys. Even though I'm patent pending, I didn't have the money to go sue them. And so it was out of my control. So what I realized, another thing on this journey is so many times we focus on stuff that's out of our control instead of giving it to God who controls all. And so sometimes what we do, instead of giving it to him, we give it to him and we still worry about him, and then we start micromanaging God. How about that? So what I did is I was like, you know what? I'm very clear. I'm clear on the things that I can't control. I write them down, and that becomes my prayer list. And I give them to him, and then I don't worry anymore. And so I prayed on this thing. And here's what happened. Not only did they not get national placement, but we took over half the shelf. In every single Target in the country. So you go into Target and go to the microwave section, we have over half the shelf. Walmart. This was what it would look like in Walmart. We only have 2 products. Look at all that space. Now we have 7 products in every single Walmart in the country. Remember what that guy said? You're not going to make a dime on this. What if I would have stopped? Think bigger. Again, don't put limitations on the amazing things that you could have in your life. Listen, what's crazy about this? I started this November of 2012. In November, it'd be 4 years. Could I even imagine all these things happen? Are you kidding me? In 4 years? I just got accepted to Harvard Business School. Just got back last week. It was a three-year program over 3 weeks. It has thank you so much. Hey. And it totally blessed my life. I learned more in the last 3 weeks than I have in the last 10 years. And it was just amazing. But one of the things I was so not the most successful in the room. Like, I was last. And here's these guys, my classmates are guys that have billion-dollar companies, $100 million companies. And I'm just like, but I didn't feel, I'm here, right? I'm like, most to succeed, you know? Like, and they were amazed on that I did all this in less than 4 years. These guys had businesses for 15 years. And what I realized is that I didn't put a cap on how big I thought. I let God be able to do what he was going to do. That I have walking every day with expectation that things are going to work for my good. And here's what happened. We signed Roger mentioned it. You stole some of the pizzazz, Roger. We sold a license deal with the biggest ramen company in the world. It took 6 months to get this deal done. And so they're going to promoting it on every single pack of ramen. Right? It's just under 1 billion packs. This was not a game changer. This was a world changer for us. Okay? Can you believe that? I've been eating top ramen since I've been 3 years old. And the audacity, little guy from South Sacramento, went to Florin High School, then UC Davis, signed a deal with the biggest ramen noodle company in the world. The approval went all the way to Japan. Took 6 months to do. And after that, I said, I'm going to do the deal with Minute Rice. And then I mentioned to you guys, I just did Betty Crocker. And I feel like sharing. We also got the deal, remember, we're doing a deal with Coca-Cola, which is amazing. So, exhaust yourself daily. How I'm doing on time, Roger? Okay, perfect. Exhaust yourself daily. Faith without work is dead. Okay? So as an entrepreneur or in your career or in your academics, I always say if you have energy at the end of the day, you didn't work hard enough. You should be exhausted by the end of the day. Like that you put everything into that day. And I would ask myself when I was building this business, and I still do it to this day, I say, is there anybody in the world outworking me? And if I could say yes, I don't deserve the opportunity. So it's exhaust yourself daily. Pay the price. Pay the price. Basically what this lesson is that there's a price tag that whatever goal that you have in your mind, there's a price tag that comes with it, right? And so the price of building this business that I had to fly all over the country. I remember having a family meeting of like, look, for Dad to get us to where we want to go, I'm not going to be here as much. But when I'm here, I'm going to be so present. And it was that sacrifice of, okay, I'm going to pay the price for that. I'm going to pay the price for getting rejections. I'm going to pay the price. It's the same thing with losing weight, right? There's a body that I want. That I want. I want to be my best self. I want to be back to that college athlete type of body. And so when I look at it, it's like, okay, you can have it. There's everything in the world that you want, you can have it. It just has a price tag. So the price tag for me to get back into the shape that I want to be in, I have to be there at 5 o'clock. I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I got to go train with him at 6. I got to do these weights, and then I got to also do cardio, and I can't eat the delicious foods that I want. I got to cut out the carbs. I got to do this, and if I do that every day for the next 4 months, I get what I want. But what happens is we want something, and we try to bargain with the price. Instead of just paying it, we bargain. So what we do is we start for a little bit, 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up and I'm working out. And then, you're having lunch, and I'll just have the salmon with the veggies, and they bring over the bread with the oil and the balsamic, and it's like, one little bread's not going to hurt. And then you have, I have lunch in my mouth, I need a cookie. And then you have a cookie, and then you, at the end of the week, and all this goes on every day, and then at the end of the week, you didn't meet your goal. And what I found is like we try to bargain with the price. How about, listen, man, I won't give you all that, but how about I give you 2 cookies a day, some bread, work out on Wednesdays. Can I still have that body that I want? No. It's the same thing we do in business or academics or our career, is that we only want to pay half to get full. And so what I realized is like, man, when I started this business, I said, I'm going to pay the price. I'm going to pay the price, and it's going to be worth it. I'm going to pay it, and it has been worth it. Don't be moved by what you see. Every single day, you're faced with circumstances, challenges, and they're contradictory to the promise that God gave you or the goals that you're going after. And they're persistent. They're persistent. I'll show you mine. It's only a couple. I face them all the time. Don't be moved by what you see. This is November 2012. This is Shark Tank casting. You can't read this, but it's basically a thanks but no thanks. Sent my video. I wanted to be on Shark Tank. And I started to collect these. It was basically saying no. And so I got 3 of those. Not only did I go on Shark Tank, but Yahoo Finance, U.S. News, rated Rapid Ramen Cooker as the #1 product from Shark Tank that works and also saves money. The Million Dollar Pio. So I'll share this story, but this was last year. Or no, it was in 2014. So the biggest PO, a PO is an order. So it's when Walmart or Target says, hey, we're going to buy 20,000 units. A purchase order, right? So a purchase order, and the biggest one that we ever had was about $20,000. And so one of my staff members comes in, and she's like, did you see your email? And I said, no. And she's like, I said, what? And I looked at it. It was a PO from Walmart for $947,000. Okay? And I'm mind-boggled. I'm like, oh, we're high-fiving. I'm throwing papers in the air. We're going crazy. And my staff were like jumping, 940. Remember, context. I gave you some context. $20,000 was our biggest. We get a PO for $947,000. You could put a lot of kids through college with that. Okay? So we're looking at the PO, and it doesn't say whether they want case packs or displays. So all my staff's in the office, we just got done celebrating and said, let's call the buyers to find out if they wanted case packs or displays. So we call them, and I put it on speaker. And I'm like, hey, we just got the PO. Thank you so much. We wanted to know if you wanted case packs or displays. And he goes, Chris, what PO? What PO are you talking about? I was, oh, no problem. I gave him the PO number. And then he goes, oh, no. And I'm like, and I'm thinking like, okay, maybe it's 500,000, right? He's like, Chris, that's a big mistake. That PO is an error. And actually, there's no PO. But Chris, thank you so much for letting me know on this, because if you would have shipped it, I would have lost my job. And I go, okay, no problem. I hang up the phone. It's pitch silent. And my staff's looking at me. Remember, we just had a celebration. Okay? And to tell the truth, I was actually, thank you, Jesus. And then it's gone. And so I remember them staring at me. And we're just, no joke, just staring at the phone and I go print out the PO. And she's like, I said, just go print it out. She prints it out, brings it back. I grab it, and I put it in my wall, pinned it in my wall. And I said, I'm believing that we're going to get a PO even bigger than this. And I said, listen, now we know as far as what we need to do to be ready, but I'm believing we'll get one even bigger than this. And they're walking out of my office like, okay, like this guy's crazy. Here's what happened. Less than 6 months, Walmart calls us and says, we want you guys to be our champions for back to school, back to college. And we want to buy 1.5 million units, not dollars, units. They put these ramen and mat cookers in every single Walmart in the country. It wasn't, let's clap it up for that. It wasn't a $943,000 PO. It was $3.2 million in one order. Okay, I was telling the guys earlier, listen, I'm going to tell you something. Like, there's things that happen in your life. Like, I had a successful business, and it was all me. I work hard and all that stuff. But there's nothing like when you allow God to operate in your business and operate in your life. Amen. Like, there's no question. I'm fully convinced that what I've done with a square-shaped bowl Come on, at its simplest element, it's a square-shaped bowl that created all this. That's allowing me to bless people's lives. That's allowing me to come in and be able to speak to you guys today. A square-shaped bowl. This ain't me. I only have a small part to do with this. It's the favor, man. And this has blessed my life. Limitless possibilities. So this was my first sketch. And my daughter is asking me, hey, Daddy, what you drawing? And it went from this sketch to them being able to take it off store shelves. Imagine what they think is possible. When we travel, when we go to vacation, we're in Florida, we go into the store, we buy one every single time because I don't get tired of seeing the receipt. Never gets old. And my kids, they're like, they pitch me every week on ideas. Every week. Oh, Dad, I got one. What is it, son? My oldest, he's 18 now, he has a product patent pending at 16 years old. My son, Josiah, 13 years old, he's like, Dad, I want to be an entrepreneur. I said, okay, what do you want to do? Because in my house, we don't just give away stuff. You have to earn everything. You got to earn it. I said, Joe, you can have anything you want. You got to earn it. And he's like, Dad, I love telling jokes. And he's like, I'm going to create a joke book. Joe finished his joke book. It's going on Amazon at the end of the month. Wow. 13 years old. So it's amazing by taking action the type of ripple impact that it can have in other people's lives. Partners, mentors, and relationships. This is the last slide, and then we'll open it up for questions. What I realized, the power of mentors, it's incredible. You want to go somewhere, ask someone that's coming down from where you want to go, that's walking back. And I realized that there's mentors that have just really blessed my life. I didn't get Mark Cuban as a mentor, but wow, God has opened the doors for mentors going in my life. Anybody remember the product, the Snuggie? Okay. I contacted him. I sent him this powerful email, and I flew all the way to New York to make him my mentor. And he's been my mentor for the last 3 years. You think he can teach me something? Scott Boylan, he's my mentor. Another mentor I have, you guys, Ben Vanderbunt. You guys know the product Proactive, the acne medicine? He's my mentor. You think he can teach me something? Right? Ben Vanderbunt, Hayes Barnard from Roseville area, had Paramount Equity, Paramount Solar, very amazing guy. Sold his company for $200 million to Solar City and was partners with Elon Musk of Tesla. Okay? His right-hand partner. You think he can teach me something? So what happens, what I learned as far as mentors can save you years of frustration and years of success. You can go much faster with the power of mentors, and it's just being able to build those. And so that's been amazing. But my number one mentor, and I alluded to it, and I didn't have to allude here at Jessup, is my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And that's my time. Thank you guys so much.